colors of the sun.
I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Listen to Pavarotti. Can I be your superhero?
Hello, welcome to The Revealing. I'm your host, Pavarotti, and I'm here to discuss the Idaho 4 case. And you know, it's interesting. Throughout this entire experience of covering the Idaho 4 case and digging in and trying to expose as much truth as I possibly can, one thing that I did for a very long time is I gave a pass. I gave a pass to the Chapen family. I didn't feel like they had any involvement in it, that Ethan was a sad victim of collateral damage, and I never wanted to go there. Until I seen that black vehicle with my own two eyes when they finally released the video footage, and I still firmly believe that is the black Ford Explorer that is pulling into the King Roadhouse right at 4:30, and it never leaves, which tells me that it is very possible that either her son or her daughter, perhaps both, were very complicit in the cover-up that happened between 4:30 and the 911 call, which we are at this point certain happened. So when I look at things now that this case is over and we're finally starting to get to the bottom of things, in a case where over 1,200 documents have been sealed since the beginning of the case. And so far they have agreed to unseal, I think it's 15 documents out of the more than 1,200, right? There's transparency for you. They're not trying to hide anything, are they? They released selective police reports from the Moscow PD, from the Idaho State Police. Nothing in the police reports incriminate Brian Kohberger in any way. So Brian Kohberger has pled guilty for the crime. No longer protecting a right to a fair trial should even be at play. So that tells me that there's nothing else in the sealed documents that they don't want unsealed that has anything to do with Brian Kohberger, because they would have put that out quick if they had any evidence there. So what is being hidden? What do they not want us to see? And what is the real scenario in the Idaho 4 case that the family members that I believe have been co-opted by law enforcement to file suits such as the privacy suits that Mogan's mother filed and that Ethan's mother and father filed? Because here's the thing. The reason they selectively picked those two families is because of the placement of the victims in the house. You see, if Ethan's family, like they just got granted in their suit, calls for privacy rights of information around Ethan, guess what? Because Xana was in the room with Ethan, it covers Xana as well. That's how it works. And then if Maddie's mother files for privacy rights around Maddie, well, because they found Kaylee in the room with Maddie, her privacy rights cover Kaylee as well. So they took two selective families, had them file suits so that none of the information would ever get out there about wounds of victims. And I find that more than disturbing. But then there's all the other things that have been hidden in this case from us that they're going to try to make sure we never get to see. And one of the biggest things that even the mainstream morons have asked over and over of investigators and prosecutors is, what is Brian Kohberger's motive? Do you have a working theory on Kohberger's motive? And what have they all said? We have no working theory whatsoever on motive. When we know they do, they know the motive. We know the motive now. Everybody knows the motive, but they don't want the motive to get out there for some reason. And who would not want motive to be explained? I can tell you who, people who know what the motive truly is. So when they want people to stop asking questions about motive, because when you go to motive, then it leads to conspiracy, then it leads to the truth. Who would you put front and center to get people to stop asking questions about motive. If you want them to stop asking questions about motive, how about one of the strongest family members as far as status in a community and status in life, which is the very wealthy Chapins? That's in my humble opinion. This isn't a hit piece on the Chapins. This is pointing out what I believe needs to be pointed out, because I just read a new article and I'm about to read it to you. And it was done by Miss Chapin, produced by the Daily Mail, and you won't believe the contents of the article. Let's go ahead and read it, shall we? He slaughtered her son in cold blood, but mom of Idaho murder victim reveals why she is happy never knowing Bryan Kohberger's motive. Ethan Chapin's mother might never know why Bryan Kohberger murdered her son, and she doesn't need to. It doesn't change the outcome, Stacy Chapin told the Daily Mail in an exclusive interview. You can burn up so much energy and time on it, but it doesn't bring Ethan back. Even after pleading guilty and being sentenced to a lifetime behind bars, what motivated Bryan Kohberger to break into an off-campus home in Moscow, Idaho, and stab Ethan Chapin, Xana Kernodle, Madison Mogan, and Kaylee Gonzalez to death one night in November 2022 is an enduring mystery. Investigators found no motive, nor any connection between the killer and his victims. And Kohberger himself has offered no explanation, refusing the opportunity to speak at his sentencing. It's something some of the victims' family members have voiced frustrations with, that the killer was not forced to reveal his motive as part of the plea deal he struck with prosecutors. Even President Donald Trump weighed in on the matter, saying he hoped Judge Stephen Hippler would make him explain why he did these horrible murders at his sentencing. But for the mother of 20-year-old Ethan, she is not going to waste time searching for answers to questions that will never make sense. We always go back to the beginning. It doesn't bring Ethan back, Stacy said. So we just have to spend time doing what's good for our family. While she doesn't want to contradict what other victims' families feel, for her, Ethan's father, Jim, and Ethan's triplet siblings, Maisie and Hunter, they're not twins anymore, knowing Kohberger's motive wouldn't change their incomprehensible loss. Everybody has the right to feel how they want to feel, but I don't know how knowing the motive changes anything, she said. Even if we went to trial for 3 months, we wouldn't have learned that. It's not like Kohberger was going to take the stand and be like, oh yeah, by the way, here's why I did it. For the best part of 3 years, 30-year-old Kohberger fought the charges over the November 13, 2022 murders. Then, just weeks before the start of his trial, he admitted his guilt and struck a controversial plea deal with prosecutors, saving him from the death penalty. The Chapen family supported the deal, which ensured Kohberger would never be able to walk free from prison. Had the case gone to trial, Stacy said there would always have been a risk that one juror might not have found the evidence substantial enough and Kohberger would have been acquitted. Yeah, maybe one of the jurors would have had a brain. And even if he had gotten the death penalty at trial, he would not have died in my husband and my lifetimes. So he would have been left for our kids to have to handle. And he would have had opportunities to appeal it, Stacy said. This way, he is just put away. We do not have to hear from him ever again. For our family, that was the better option. Stacy, Jim, Maisie, and Hunter all attended Kohberger's change of plea hearing at Ada County Courthouse in Boise on July 2nd in support of the agreement. It marked the first and only time the Chapins came face to face with Ethan's killer, as they watched him finally admit to his brutal crimes. 3 weeks later, on July 23rd, Judge Hippler sentenced Kohberger to 4 life sentences with no possibility of parole for each count of the first-degree murder and additional 10 years for burglary. Under the terms of the deal, Koberger also waived his right to ever appeal. He is now being held in the Idaho Maximum Security Institution in Kauna, where he will live out his dying days. Stacy said the Chapins decided not to attend the sentencing hearing to give victim impact statements because they had nothing to say to her son's killer. There was nothing left to say, I guess, she said, adding, "That was just us." Instead, the family spent the day together at their home in Priest Lake, Idaho, honoring the athletic, outgoing 20-year-old. When asked how she wants her son to be remembered, Stacy said, "He was just an amazing kid, going all the way back to them as 3 babies bouncing in their seats. He was always the easiest child." She added, "There's nothing of those 20 years with Ethan that I would go back and change. He was that great of a kid. He was amazing. I'm thankful to have had him for those 20 years. Ethan had been in his freshman year at the University of Idaho, where he majored in sports management and was part of the Sigma Chi fraternity. He was in a relationship with Kernodle and was staying at her student home on the edge of college campus on the night of Koberger's attack. For the Chapen family, knowing Koberger is now behind bars for life has brought some closure and has finally drawn a line under 3 years of agony. He's put away. He's where he belongs," Stacy said. "In our family's opinion, it's over. We've been doing this now for almost 3 years. It will be 3 years in November, and it's time for us to do something different. It's time to move on." While life will always look different for the Chapin family to before Ethan's murder, with the court proceedings now behind them, Stacy feels they can finally move forward and focus on the future. Stacy beams with pride when she speaks of the strength she has seen in Maisie and Hunter and their plans for adult life. "My kids are amazing. They're great. They are more resilient than we are," she said. "We put them through counseling and mental health pieces, whatever they needed to get through this. Now they're like, okay, let's move forward from this event." Maisie and Hunter both attended University of Idaho with Ethan. They returned to their studies and college life in Moscow for the 2023 spring semester, mere weeks after Koberger's arrest. This May, they both graduated. Stacy proudly revealed that Hunter is now planning to become a firefighter, while Maisie has started working at a hospital. "They're doing amazing," she said. "Feels like we're finally moving forward." Part of moving forward also includes using families' tragic experience to be a voice for other families who will find themselves in similar situations in the future. After the plea deal was struck and the gag order lifted in the case, Stacy connected with Othram, a forensic genetic genealogy lab which identified Koberger as the source of the DNA found on the knife sheath left at the scene. The Texas-based lab's advanced technology meant that the killer was identified and arrested within 6 weeks of the murders, bringing some answers to the victims' families and preventing Koberger from tearing apart any other families. Stacy, Jim, and Maisie have since all visited Othram's lab and met with the team, led by David and Kristen Middleman. Now they hope to work together to advocate for greater access to the lab's capabilities so that more families can get answers without their loved ones' cases quickly. The Chapin family also runs the Ethan Smile Foundation, which they launched in 2023 to provide scholarships in Ethan's honor. As of May 2025, the foundation has awarded $105,000 in scholarships to 83 students. Stacy, Jim, Maisie, and Hunter all sit on the board. The Chapins have other plans for the future too. For Stacy and Jim, Ethan's murder derailed the next chapter in their lives, a time when their kids were off at college, entering adult life. So as parents, they were looking at the own next steps. Jim and I had just started before this whole thing, trying to live a life that was without our kids and doing a little traveling and figuring out what's next, she said. Now it's finally time to get those plans back on track. We're there right now. We're just in the process of getting our kids where they need to be and settled into their new lives, where we all feel like we're moving forward, she said. Stacy hasn't decided where exactly those travel plans will take her and Jim yet, but there's one thing top of the list. I'm just going to sit on a beach somewhere, she laughed. I don't even know where. I'm like, I'm out. I don't believe anything happens for no reason. And when you look at what's taking place right now in this case, we have judgments being given to, as I mentioned, those families to try to keep information from the public. Nobody wants to see those crime scene photos, but we do want to hear the pathologist report down to the fine details so we know what truly happened in this thing and what you're not showing us. But what would you do if you wanted people to stop asking questions about what happened to the victims? You get the families to file suit to try to get that stuff out of there and make it seem taboo to even ask about it by saying you are sick individuals wanting to see crime scene photos. What would you do if you wanted people to stop asking about the motive in the case? Well, you pick out the strongest family in there with the strongest image. You put them forward. You go through and you show how they are the super family, right? Well, they're working with Othram to save other families. They've put their kids through school. They're now going to vacation and hope to help other families. Their kids are firefighters working for hospitals. All American, perfect family. And if they say we don't care about what the motive is and won't bring them back, and you shouldn't either, that's what they're going to start referring to whenever people brings up motive. They'll say, well, if the Chapen family is not wanting to know what the motive is, and they're ones that should definitely want to know and they want to move on, I think we should respect that. You can expect to hear that coming. And, you know, I bet you they were really, really, in a way, excited about the Charlie Kirk thing because it took a lot of eyes off of the Idaho 4 case. And hopefully eyes get back on it, or else they will bury everything in this case and things will never be brought to light. And we just can't let that happen. OPAV will do his part. Please like and subscribe to this channel. Post your comments, thoughts, criticisms. Till next time, Pavarotti's out.
Fly away. It's the first time